Hi knitters, welcome to the Knitty McPurly podcast. I'm your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me at KnittyMcPurly.com. I am Knitty McPurly on Instagram, and if you want to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Welcome to this beautiful, gorgeous, but cold Palm Sunday. I've been waiting for this day because today is my local knitters meetup. By the time you're watching this, that might be underway. I'm filming it early in the morning. So luckily I have enough light coming in, but I'm really excited about this. Gigi made cookies. We've got our knitting. We're ready to go. Cannot wait. It's been a big weekend. So my retreat registration opened up on Friday and a ton of you registered. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to either see you again if you came to the last retreat or to meet you for the first time. It's going to be awesome. There are a handful of spots left, so if you have not gotten a spot yet, go check one out. Go check it out. So Gigi and I booked our flights to go to Dallas, and for the both of us to fly, it was only like $600. It was a really good deal, I thought. So if you go sign up for the retreat, book your hotel room, and you don't have to pay for that until later, but you can book it now. And flights, at least when I looked 2 days ago, the flights were really good. So I did get a lot of questions about the retreat, so I want to go ahead and just answer a few of those if I can. People asked about the classes and the vendors, and my retreats are very laid back. These are things that we will decide over time. Classes are going to be taught by attendees of the retreat who would like to teach, and possibly vendors will include those people also, but also some local people, some local dyers and designers, and whoever we can get to come by. So it's up in the air. It's going to be low key, but it's going to be great. It's really going to be a lot of fun. So if you can make it, go on over and grab your spot. So after online registration closes, I will send out a message to everyone who registered to give them all of the details, and those will change as we get closer to the event. So I did have a couple questions from people who registered, and I just wanted to address those things. I think that our original room block has filled up, which is actually a really good thing. Very happy about that. So if you go to book your room and they say there are no more rooms, it doesn't mean that there are no more rooms. It just means that under our room block, they need to open up some more. You know how it is, like hotels always have tons of rooms, and it's just a computer thing where the computer is programmed to tell you, no, we don't have any more, but really they do. So I will talk to my contact at the hotel on Monday, and they will open up more rooms, so don't worry about that. And the same is true if you want to stay extra nights. Like the retreat is from Thursday to Sunday, so it's Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. But if you wanted to come early or stay late, you absolutely can do that. But you're going to have to call the hotel and say, book your room for the nights of the retreat, and then call them and say, I want to stay a few extra nights. Can you give me the same rate? And they will do that for you. So so anyway, that's a lot about the retreat. I hope you can make it. I cannot wait. It is going to be so much fun. It's just great to get together and hang out and knit and have a change of scenery and do a little yarn shopping and eating interesting food that we didn't cook ourselves and we don't have to clean up for. That is just the best. And Gigi is coming with me. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be really fun. Okay, so I also wanted to show you my Sanctum Balm that's in the shop. I did not bring up the stick, but I just wanted to show you the label. Isn't that so pretty? I love how the label came out. The one for the stick is really pretty too, and that one is on the website, so you can go check it out if you want to. This one is mine. See? No one will take it, although they have been taking it. You can see that I've been using it. It smells so good. It's like church. It's like frankincense and myrrh, and it's spicy and kind of clovey, and it just smells so good. So I get torn up by the dog every now and then because our dog is blind and he can't see that that's your skin and not a ball. So every now and then I get a claw to the skin. And so I will put the balm. We treat this balm like it's the cure-all. My son had a cut on his face and I was like, go get the balm. We put it on absolutely everything. It's good for dry hands. It's good for injuries. I use it like Neosporin. Charlotte had a cut on her foot and I was like, go get the balm. We put the balm on and then a Band-Aid. I am not a medical professional, but in my experience, it doesn't hurt when you put it on a boo-boo, even on a child. And it does help it heal faster because it's got good stuff in it, like shea butter and olive oil and lanolin and other good stuff that just helps with healing. And it just happens to smell absolutely amazing. So anyway, this went up in the shop on Friday. It's a Lenten Easter balm that I plan to do yearly. If you guys love it, I will do it at Christmas too. We'll see. So anyway, that's in the shop right now. I have that in tins and sticks. Last thing I want to say about the shop is March's color of the month. So at the beginning of March, you guys loved this color. All I heard about was how great it was. And since then, I've seen it arrive at your house and I've seen it go on Instagram. Not like I'm spying on you or anything, but just that you put it on Instagram. And people have said how much they love it. This is an example of the sock set with the 20-gram mini. So because you all loved it so much, I dyed a ton more. So go and get some if you want it. Probably I will have it into April because like I said, I dyed a ton more of it. If you want to go get that, you can. It's a mixture of my new color River Rock, Dusty, and the speckles are Black Forest Cake, which is a nice deep blackish green. So that's March's color of the month. Okay, that's all that's new to the shop. It's been a busy weekend. Getting all of the registrations together and all of that has been, it's been great. I'm so happy that you guys all want to come to the retreat. And many of you have messaged me and said either that you're coming and you're excited to come or you can't come, but you wish you could. So I plan to next month, since my husband's back is so much better, we are planning a trip to Dallas and we're going to stay at the hotel and I'm going to take a little video and show you all the things that the hotel has. And hopefully we can get to downtown Grapevine. We'll try the shuttle out, see how it works. And I can show you everything. Won't that be so fun? Oh, cannot wait. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting stuff. My life is amazing. I really lead a really great life. Oh, I found a chunk I didn't rub in. Yeah, gotta rub in all the chunks. Okay, so I have mainly been working on my Allure camisole by Kadri. And I have joined, I think last week I had the triangles, but I maybe hadn't joined them. So this is the underarm right here. This is where they come together either in the front or the back. It's the same. It's hard to show you. There, you can see it's just you just join the two triangles together right there. And that's the front or the back. And that's the same on the other side. And then there's a very small cast on here for the underarm. So now it's just miles and miles of stockinette. I did block this just a little bit so that it wouldn't roll up too much. It looks like a giant crown right now. But you know, I'm just going around and around, which is kind of nice. It's kind of relaxing. This type of knitting was not what I was looking for when I cast it on, but it is what I'm looking for now. So I got to learn how to make these triangles first with the provisional cast on. That's what I've got going on here. I just grabbed whatever yarn I could find that was somewhat close to the weight. This is more like a sport weight or maybe a DK to do my provisional cast ons. So each point has a provisional cast on, and then there will be an I-cord that connects the two. And I also have on the needles my Wildflower Tea, which I have not picked up at all. But I feel like I'm a couple hours, maybe a weekend away from being done with that. Like I'm really getting close on both of these, and that's exciting. I do have some languishing whips that I have not picked up in a little while. You might remember that I'm knitting a Hepburn, a Go Lightly, which is a DK weight, in Dresden DK, which is that Surrey Silk DK. It's super fluffy. And I just set it aside. I don't know why. I think I just got bored with it. And so I set it aside, and I need to pull that out too. But again, it's not something that I'm gonna wear until the fall. But yeah. Anyway, the Wildflower Knit Along is going on. I don't know when that ends, but I did see this on Instagram. This is Holly's Wildflower Tea, Holly Armstrong, and this is the yarn that she dyed. I believe this is the Wizard of Oz kit that she had for this sweater. Doesn't it look so good? This is for her daughter, whose name is Mary, and I believe Mary is like a preteen, I think, or maybe a young teenager. And it's just so beautiful. She is a very lucky girl to get such a pretty sweater and to have such a talented mom who made it for her. Speaking of Holly, she sent me this picture a couple of weeks ago. This is her, and she made an everywhere sweater, which is a Knitty McPurly pattern. And I just thought she did such a good job, and it looks so good. This is a very warm sweater. I pull out my everywhere sweater when I'm really cold because it is a bulky weight held together with a mohair. So you get a really thick, warm sweater that has a little bit of a halo with the mohair. It's really fun to knit, and Holly did such a good job on hers. I made mine in a dark gray, and hers is just a bright, beautiful red. It just looks so, so good. All right, so let's get on to the topic of the week. I meant to bring up a skein to show you this, but I'm gonna go ahead and pop out this one to show you. This is a really basic topic, but I think a really important one, and I've been thinking about it for a while, because when you get your skein, it's easy to forget what the skein has been through, right? So the dyer has prepped the skein, soaked it, dyed it, rinsed it, washed it, rinsed it again, spun dry it, hung it up to dry, and then skeined it. It's been through a lot. And sometimes in the process, the strands can kind of intertangle a little bit. So what I do, and probably what most dyers do, if I had to guess, is that I undid this badly. So, but this is a good example. Like I just kind of undid this crazily. So what you can do is find a tie, and at the ties, you can just make sure that all the strands are going the direction that they're supposed to go. And what dyers typically do is they get their skeins and snap it. And when you snap it, it just makes them all line up. What's the word? It just makes them nice and straight. So what I do is before I skein it up, I snap it a bunch of times to straighten everything out so that it will wind without tangling. And I actually have a little machine that my husband built for me that winds up the skeins. Because if you wind up skeins a lot, like in this manner, if you do this a lot, your hand will hurt. And so if you're doing a lot of them, it's nice to have a little machine. So when you get your skein and you undo it, snap it. Just give it, 10 or 12 snaps to align those threads. Because probably the dyer did that for you, and probably it's gonna be just fine. But I don't know about you, but I dislike when I am caking up a skein of yarn and it gets tangled and I have to stop it And sometimes you have to cut it, and that's really frustrating. So to avoid that, do the snaps. Just a bunch of times, and it will straighten out those fibers, and they will lie properly as they are meant to. Let me reassemble this sock set. I'm gonna take some yarn and some balm over to our meetup today, because sometimes you need to shop for yarn. You know, no pressure. You can if you want to, don't have to. But I don't know about you, but I love a good skein of yarn. And being offered one over a glass of wine is not the worst thing in the world, right? That's how I feel about it. So that was my topic of the week. That was like a very simple topic, but it's actually something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Like, I really ought to mention that, because before I started dyeing, I just didn't think of that. You know, I'd get a skein of yarn and I'd pull it out and I'd put it on my Swift and I'd start to wind it up. And every now and then you get one where it's just, the fibers aren't laying properly next to each other, and it gets stuck, and sometimes you can't undo it, or you try to fix it and it hasn't fixed it. And that's just frustrating, and it impacts your experience of the yarn. And I, as a dyer, do not want your experience impacted. I want you to be like, my whole experience from start to finish was excellent. So, like I said, I snap it, but just doing a few extra snaps on Knitty McPurly yarn, or any yarn that you get, just snap it, and it will make everything line up, and all will be well with the world. Okay, moving right along to the comment section. I gotta scooch up. I can't quite read from there. Okay, Eileen said, did your husband have a herniated disc? I had surgery for that and was immediately pain-free, though stiff, and 6 years later, still doing great. No, he had bone spurs, and the bone spurs were pushing on the nerve, and it was just causing him so much pain. And all they did was they went in there and just buzzed him off, and he is good to go. So, good news. Okay, I need you to prepare yourselves, because this is the most upsetting comment that I received last week, and it is from Nancy Morgan. Nancy said, I believe that Arnie and Carlos have since admitted that there is color dominance. Betrayal. Oh my gosh. They've betrayed the Norwegian people. They've betrayed me. I'm personally offended that Arnie and Carlos have made such a controversial and hurtful statement that color dominance exists. Although Professor Pearl, I think, would disagree with me, because I know that she's big on that. Did you know Professor Pearl has a podcast? I live under a rock, you guys. I just live under a rock, and I don't know a lot of things. And so someone said, Professor Pearl, who comments on my show often and talks about color dominance, because she is on the color dominance exists camp. But anyway, go check her out. I need to do that too. Christine said, when your opening music starts, I dance in my chair. Me too. Actually, when I picked that music, I bought that music 7 years ago when I started the podcast 8 years ago, because it was 2016 that I started the podcast. And I picked it because it was the happiest. I just wanted the most cheerful music about. I got a lot of comments about Ohio, people who were from Ohio or had family there. Mama Knitter said, so cool about your family being from Ohio. My grandma lives in Minerva. And my husband and I are from Northeast Ohio, right on the lake. Minerva was my high school football team's rival. I'm from Carrollton, and Carrollton and Minerva were like rivals. It's a thing in Ohio. High school football is super big. Cheryl Beckrich said, hi, Devin. Thanks again for knitting and sharing your Wildflower Tea. I really love it, and I think I feel the same way about all of them that I see. I do appreciate your support. I didn't comment last week, though I thought about it many times, like when I was driving and could not comment. Here is my question. On your trip to Florida, did you stay at Ave Maria? I've been hearing good things about the the college, or maybe it's a university, I'm not sure. Yeah, Ave Maria is a town with a university that was just invented by Tom Monahan, who used to own Domino's Pizza. And it just grew up in this place not far from Fort Myers in Florida. And my friend, her daughter goes to Ave, and they have a house right there in the little area. And it's a great little area. I highly recommend it. Here's Professor Pearl. She said, I may be a color dominance girly, but I am like you and I don't catch floats. That's the fun thing about knitting. We can care about details or not. We can learn new things or have comfort knitting. I have knit with really long floats and it's been totally fine, no snags. I think I prefer a long float over worrying about a color popping through. Me too. I think that this is why people use ladder back jacquard. Maybe I will try it one day. Well, maybe I will Google it one day and learn what that is because I've never heard of it. Wendy M says, we are all regulars together should be your retreat slogan. Yes, I love it. She said, I love your Wildflower Tea. I'm a half and half type of knitter. I refuse to do a tubular cast on or sewn bind off. And I always use German short rows, but I will try a few new things. I agree. With short rows, I used to be a wrap and turn person, but they never look as good as German short rows do. And German short rows are so easy. Like they're so simple. Like many knitting things, as soon as you try it, you're like, well, why didn't I just learn this before? Because this is super easy. Pam of Pam Knits 2 says, OMG, you spoke to me at the end of this episode. I'm near the end of knitting a blanket for my grandson for his birthday, and I forgot to slip the first stitch to keep a neat edge. Now I'm thinking that it's not good enough to give to him. He's 8 years old. I really don't think he will notice, but he will feel the warmth and love that went into every stitch. Thank you for reminding me what's really important. And Pam is referring to when I was showing my triangles and one of them has a mistake. And you know what? I don't know which one, but whichever it is, it's going in the back. No one will care. Yeah, no, totally, Pam. He's not going to notice that you didn't slip the first stitch to make a neat edge. It does make a neat edge, but it's just knitting. It's just yarn. And as I get into our, so here's what happened, we're going to revisit that because I do think it's such an important thing to keep in mind that we see our own mistakes. And this, like so many things about knitting, this can be amplified to reflect on all of life. We see our little flaws and imperfections. No one else sees them. Only we see them. Yeah, great comment, Pam. Rosemary said, I make Buckeyes every Christmas for my oldest son, who is now a grown man with children of his own. I give him his own batch in a Christmas tin that he doesn't have to share. That's so funny because my friend makes Buckeyes every Christmas too, and she gives my husband his own so he doesn't have to share because that way, I mean, otherwise they would disappear. So yeah, that's awesome. Kim says, I can totally relate to wanting a new project when there's something major going on. I think we've become so great at our craft that if it's not challenging, our mind can get back to the nitty-gritty of life. But when it's new, time flies as we delve into the new puzzle of a pattern. That's absolutely true because I wanted a new pattern and I needed something to learn while my husband was having surgery. And that was great. But now it's at the point of just around and around and around with stockinette, and that is great too. Okay, moving right along to knitting fantasies. I have 4 picks for you today, 2 of them from Petite Knit and 2 of them from Jessie Made. I talked a little bit about Petite Knit last week with her Cumulus top, which is very similar to the Allure cami that I'm making. And so I just went to her website and started scrolling through the patterns, and I thought, in case you haven't had a chance to do that, I just would show that here. So here's just a minute or 2 of what her website looks like. Everything there is beautiful. She always knits in neutral colors. I imagine her closet is a little bit boring, but this is a model who looks good in absolutely everything. There are some knits that she makes look good. Like she has a dress, I think it's called the chestnut dress, and she looks amazing in it, but it's not for everyone. Not everyone would look amazing in this dress, in my humble opinion. So, that is the danger of something being modeled by someone who would look perfect in anything they wear. And that is kind of what's nice about the more modern modeling, where they have just kind of regular people wearing stuff to show you what it would look like on a regular person, because that's what most of us are, is regular people. Anyway, I did pick 2 of her sweaters that I really liked, that I thought would be good for spring/summer. And the first one is the Rigmore summer blouse. And the one that she has on has a little too much ease, I think. I like it. I would like it if it was a little bit more fitted. It does have eyelets, and so you would need to wear something under it, which would heat it up a little bit. It would cause it to be a little bit warmer. So this would be a good cooler weather, warm weather top. Not 90 degrees, but if it's 65, you would want to wear a top like this. My second pick is the Stockholm slipover. She has a bunch of patterns that are called slipovers, and it's like a vest. And this one in particular, I liked the way she styled it with this white shirt with the puffy sleeve. I just think that looks so pretty. It looks like a very basic, quick knit. And the only thing about it is that it is a fingering weight yarn held together with a mohair. Now, I would classify fingering weight plus mohair as a DK, but she calls it a worsted. So it might, I guess it just depends on how thick the yarn gets. I don't know. You kind of have to play around with it and see what gauge you got. But I really like this a lot. I like the styling, and I would totally knit this. Okay, those are my 2 petite knit picks. And I have 2 picks from Jessie Made. So they are called the Flutterbutt shorts. And if it were Flutterbutt shorts, I think it would be less crass. It sounds a little crass because it's the Flutter butt shorts. I don't know. And then to go with it is the Flutter butt shirt. What's a butt shirt? I don't know. That's just weird. Charlotte would like it because when you're 9, and my son too, Anson, when you're 9 and 11, all potty talk words are hilarious. But I think this outfit is really cute. It's kind of like pajamas. I don't think I would spend that amount of time making pajamas. I just don't think I would. But I like the shirt a lot, particularly the shirt. I would make it a little bit longer so that I could wear it like a shirt, and it would be perfect for hot weather. There's not a lot to it. It's very feminine and pretty, and I really like it a lot. Now, the thing about Jessie Made's patterns is if you go and look at them on PayHip, I haven't looked at them on Ravelry, but if you look at them on PayHip, you can immediately download the first page of the pattern, which doesn't have any pattern in it. It's just the information page. It has the gauge and the sizes and all the stuff that's like the information about the pattern. So that's really nice. I really like this. I would absolutely make this top, definitely. I think the shorts are really cute too. I just think the only place I would wear them is to bed, and I don't know that I would put in that kind of time to make something that I'm just gonna sleep in. So anyway, moving right along to So Here's What Happened. This is a story from a lovely podcast watcher named Sharon. Hi, Sharon. And she says, Devin, I have enjoyed watching your podcasts ever since Karista began talking about you, your yarns, and your knitting retreat about 18 months ago. I often listen to / watch them when I'm working at the yarn shop or crocheting or knitting at home. You are easy to listen to, always make me laugh, and your relationship with your girls is fun to see. They are a delight. Thank you so much, Sharon. So she is talking about Karista Lowe, who is Sweet Mountain Crafts, on the internet. Like she's Sweet Mountain Crafts. She's got a podcast. She's on Instagram, but she also has a yarn store called Wyoming Yarn. I feel like it's in Wyoming, in Cody, Wyoming. And I met Karista at the retreat last year, and she is just as delightful as Sharon describes, but I will let Sharon go first. She said, I would like to share my story about finding an amazing fiber mentor. Several years ago, I became acquainted with Karista from Sweet Mountain Crafts when I began seeing her yarn for sale at our local yarn store. I was excited to learn we had a local yarn dyer in Cody, Wyoming. Oh, I should have used my Cody cup. I just have this orange Target cup today. This was the one that I grabbed. Her yarns were featured that summer during the annual Cowboy Yarn Crawl, and I eagerly awaited her monthly yarns to be released. I hoarded and collected her beautiful yarn and was thrilled when a few months later I was able to finally meet her in person. I quickly learned what a warm and welcoming human being she is. Little did I know at that time how she would impact my life. After knowing her for several months, she asked me to test a crochet shawl pattern she was writing. I jumped at the chance and enjoyed meeting up with her to discuss the pattern, fiber, and life. I found her to be very encouraging and knowledgeable about all things yarn, as well as about knitting, crochet, and weaving. In the spring of 2022, I was thrilled to find out that she was opening a new yarn store in town. While helping her to move stock to its new location, I mentioned that I would love an opportunity to work with her in the dye studio if she ever had a need. I was pleasantly surprised when she contacted me later and told me that she could use some help. I need somebody like that. Somebody local who could come and help me. That would be amazing. I wish you lived here, Sharon. She said, I now work part-time in the dye studio and learn something new every day. Karista is a wealth of knowledge. She is kind, patient, and always so encouraging, not just with me, but also with the customers in the store. She takes time with each person, helping them select yarn and patterns. She genuinely loves to see what they are creating and enthusiastically cheers them on in their yarny journey. She has built a welcoming yarn community by way of weekly meetups and various classes. She has taught me so much in the years I have known her. First lesson, it's just yarn. Amen, sister. Whether it is a pattern I am working up and not loving or a yarn issue in the studio, she often reminds me, it's just yarn. I love that. It can be frogged, reworked, or fixed. She reminds me that yarn is to be enjoyed and played with. Excuse me. Pollen, Virginia. That's where we are. Sharon says, I'm a tad older and find learning new things to be more challenging than in my youth, but Karista is a fantastic educator and cheerleader. She reminds me that we're never too old to learn something new. She is patient and kind when teaching, but also knows when to poke a little fun at me. She never seems to mind when I pick her brain about a pattern, a new technique, or yarn. She is generous with her time, knowledge, and skills. Karista is the ultimate fiber mentor. I feel blessed to work alongside her in the shop. She teaches me about the various yarn bases, fiber content, dyeing yarn, and color theory, along with a few life lessons here and there. Recently, she helped me navigate through some personal issues and did so with grace and compassion. She's a good listener and kind with her words and suggestions. Brief aside, Karista is a good listener, and the percentage of the population that are good listeners, it's like 5%. I mean, very few people can really listen, and I agree, she is a good listener. Sharon says, I appreciate her family-first attitude as this allows me time to travel out of state when needed to see family. I've crocheted since I was a young child, and she has reignited my love of the craft and encouraged me to try my hand at pattern writing, weaving, and knitting. She often leads me down the crafty rabbit holes of new yarns, books, and dye techniques. Her enthusiasm is contagious, and going to work has never been so much fun. She has been a wonderful yarn boss, and I feel blessed to know her and be included in her yarn dyeing adventures. Yes, all of that is true of her. Here's a little story about Karista. Hi, Karista, if you're watching. Not this past January, but January of 2023, when I had my first knitting retreat, Karista came and she taught a class. And the class was free-form art weaving. And so it was mainly a knitting retreat. And so this was kind of like a peripheral topic. And so some people were like, I'll come to the class, but I don't know if I'm going to like it. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be interested in this technique or if it's going to be good. They just weren't sure. And almost everyone left that class saying that was the best class of the retreat. I had the most fun. I learned something new. And Karista spun art yarn for everyone. Like, I was blown away, like literally just shocked at how much work she had put into these kits that she had for everyone at the retreat. It was amazing. And she is coming to my next retreat and is going to teach again. So it better be good, Karista, because the bar's up here. Totally kidding. We all know it's going to be great. So if you've heard this story and you're like, wow, this lady from Cody, Wyoming sounds amazing. I want to meet her. Come to my retreat and you too can attend her class. So anyway, thank you so much, Sharon. That was a wonderful story. I believe, let me just scroll through my email here. I believe that I am now out of knitting stories. So this is a weekly podcast, okay? 52 stories a year are what is needed to satiate the ever-growing appetite for knitting stories. So please send me your knitting story, Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com, Devin with an I. You can type it out and I'll read it for you. You can make a video of yourself telling it or just an audio recording, whatever you want to do. I would love to share your story on the podcast. Next week is Easter Sunday, but I will still be here. Haven't planned that far ahead. I might record on Saturday. Can't remember. My family's coming over at Easter. Can't remember what time. It's all written down somewhere. I do keep these things written down, luckily, because it just goes in and out of my head. But definitely I will be here next week and I cannot wait to see you then. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Holy Week and hope you get a lot of knitting done. I will see you next time, knitters. Bye.